Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Agent Psycho, aka Total Sniper 98. In this video, I wanted to talk about the importance of friend points and how impactful they are to you as an FGO player. At the time of this video recording, we're in the follow-up week after Neurofest, when people are, or at least should be, rolling their boxes, and because the lottery boxes have lots of friend points in them, I figured this would be a good time to make this video. So everyone knows the basics about friend points, right? In case you don't, because you're a new player, or because you're a scrub who thinks that friend point rolls are worthless, you usually get friend points from using a support servant from your friends list, which is almost all the time, and then you use those friend points in the friend point gacha to get 1, 2, and gacha permanent 3-star servants, 1, 2, and 3-star foes, bronze and silver embers, and 1, 2, and 3-star CDs from it. And you can roll a friend point multi once for free every day at daily reset. The stuff you get from the FP gacha don't seem like much at first, right? You might care about the silver embers since you can burn those for extra mana prisms, the 3-star foes, and the servants until you can get everyone to MP5, but you probably don't care about any 1 or 2-star CD you get, since the only time you roll friend point gacha to any considerable degree is probably when you're trying to get a 3-star event CD. With the exception of embers, everything in the friend point gacha is actually very valuable, so stop burning them like a pleb and start using them instead. Let me explain why, starting with the foes. In FGO, you can enhance any servant by 1000 for both HP and attack using foes. You can technically go past that up to 2000, but past 1000 you'll need gold foes, and that's something else entirely, so for the sake of this video, we'll exclude gold foes. Given that stats in this game are already in the thousands, you might think that an extra 1000 isn't that big of a deal. I've mentioned quite a few times in the past that FGO is a game of inches, which means that sooner or later you'll find yourself in a position where one of your servants will get wrecked and die because they barely didn't have enough HP to survive a hit, and sometimes a servant being alive for just one turn longer is the difference between you barely winning a fight and you barely losing like a scrub. If you're someone who makes solo videos for this game regularly, you probably know what that shit feels like. And guess what, you could have saved you from a situation like that, 1000 extra stats and HP with foes. And yes, generally a servant's attack is more important than their HP stat, since most servants in this game have offensive MPs, and thus can potentially do a ton of damage, and of course that relies on their attack stat. But the truth of the matter is that your servant ain't gonna do shit if they're dead because they got critted by a Chimera. And speaking of attack stats, an extra 1000 in attack is actually a huge increase in damage. Admittedly, it's more noticeable on gold rarity servants who generally have higher base stats than free-to-play servants, but due to the way this game handles damage calculations and buff stacking, an extra 1000 stats in attack can easily be the difference between a successful kill or reliable wave clear in a farming node, story battle, or a challenge quest. And like I said, with FGO being a game of inches, you might also run into a situation where your servant barely didn't have enough attack stats to kill off an enemy, which again could be the difference between you being able to win a fight or not. You might listen to this and be like, hey Tuhu, yeah, we get it, okay? Foes are important and all, but not everyone's a whale like you with literal millions of friend points that we can just roll whenever to just shit out foes whenever we want so that we can end up with an almost entirely foed roster of servants. And I get that, not everyone's got access to tons of FP, which naturally means a lot of foes, and you certainly don't need everybody to be max foed. But oftentimes what happens is, I hear people talk about FP rolls and they're like, yeah bro, I just burn all the foes I get, like they're not really that valuable, they only give like plus 10 or plus 20 most of the time, so whatever. But if you're a diligent motherfucker in this game, if you roll your free friend point multi every day, you farm a decent number of boxes every lottery event, and you roll your FP every once in a while, either when there's a success rate up going on, or an event with a 3-star CE that you can roll in friend point gacha shows up, you'll end up with a good number of foes that you can use to foe up a servant or two that you know you'll be using a lot, either for farming or for late game content. In other words, every time you burn foes, that's progress you're deliberately just tossing away that you could be making towards making one of your important servants stronger. It might be very small progress, but you do that for long enough and burn foes for long enough, and suddenly you'll look back and maybe realize that you've missed out on getting a servant to max enhancement basically for free. I'm also aware that you have opportunities to buy bundles of the 3-star all-class foes, comes from stuff like event shops and the Mana Prism shop, and that every so often the game hands out foes as part of like download milestone updates or special login events, and those are nice, yeah, but because the foe handouts are pretty rare and people may skip foes in event shops and the Mana Prism shop altogether in favor of other stuff, being able to passively generate foes slowly over time through Friendpoint Gacha is still very important. The servants you get from Friendpoint Gacha should be self-explanatory. I don't suggest you burn any servant, even if they're only bronze rarity, until you have them at MP5. I don't care if you don't like a particular servant for whatever stupid fucking reason, or you're on a mission to get rid of all the male servants you end up getting because you treat FGO like a fucking waifu game. Yeah, nice waiver by the way, I wonder why you didn't burn his ass too, motherfucker. You want to get your free-to-play servants to MP5 because they're the ones you can realistically get to that point, unlike gold servants. Yeah, sure, the 3-star servants are pretty tough to get from the FP Gacha, to be fair, but chances are you'll probably roll on a Quartz Gacha at some point, so you should pick up a few 3-star servants from that too to help boost their MP levels. Unless you're one of those low-tier heroes who only play with bronze servants, which is definitely not most of you. A lot of FGO players may come from other MOBAs where low-rarity units are oftentimes trash and not worth investing in, but that's definitely not the case here. The right low-rarity servants can be extremely powerful in the right situations in FGO. Sometimes there are just even straight-up better options than their gold servant alternatives. I'm looking at you, Artemis. So even if you look at a servant from the Friendpoint Gacha and think to yourself how you'd ever find a reason to use them, get them to MP5 anyway and hold on to them because they might end up having a use that you didn't think about before and can come in clutch for you. Well, now that you have Summer Skaha, you can just burn all your Phantoms. What do you mean you didn't play Summer 1 Rerun? And perhaps the most important feature of the FP Gacha is the ability to roll low-rarity craft essences. In FGO, it's relatively easy to level up your servants. You just need to feed them embers, and you have access to 40 AP ember dailies at any time that you can do to go get gold embers, and not to mention all the embers you can get from the shops, log-run rewards, and lottery events like Neurofest that we had just last week. Craft essences, on the other hand, are a different story. The only way to level them up is to feed them other craft essences. Like servants, leveling up CEs gives them more base stats, and if you give a CE 4 identical copies of itself, you'll max limit break it and give that CE improved effects on top of getting its level cap to 100 for potentially even more stats. Because of this, it's naturally harder for you to level up CEs than servants, since it's not like the game throws a ton of CEs at you for the sole purpose of leveling up your other CEs, unless of course there's an event that does just that in fact, by giving you XP CEs like CCC, the Guda Guda events, or Fate Zero, and even then, those kinds of events are on the rarer side of things. So the fastest way to level up craft essences is to roll more CEs that you'll use as XP fodder from the gacha. And chances are, unless you're the son of rich Chinese corporate executives who has more money than he knows what to fucking do with, and can literally wail on quartz gachas just for CE XP, you won't be doing something that fucking degenerate, so your other option is to just roll friend points. And by doing so, you get lots of 1-star, 2-star, and occasionally 3-star CEs. In fact, the most common thing you get from friend point rolls are the 1 and 2-star CEs. Rather than just burning them like a lot of you tend to do because you can't be bothered to level up your CEs, use them as CE XP by making CE bombs. People have made videos on craft essence bombs already, but just to explain them here briefly, a CE bomb is a max limit broken low rarity craft essence that you level up not to use in a quest, but to use just as a way to give another CE that you will use in a quest tons of XP all at once. In FGO, when you feed XP to a craft essence, that CE keeps all the XP that it receives, which means that if you feed that CE to another CE, all the XP that's being transferred is preserved wherever it goes. For example, you see me here using a level 55 2-star craft essence bomb to level up one of my 5-star CEs, and it can go from level 15 straight to level 55 too, because it's absorbing all the XP that the CE bomb already has. This is important mainly because it's a good way to save QP. Leveling low rarity CEs and then using those to then level up your gold CEs is much cheaper than leveling your gold CEs directly, which is useful especially if you're in the middle of QP hell and you're looking to try to make some progress on making another max level SSR CE. Though we just got done with a lottery event, so you shouldn't be in QP hell. unless you spent all your QP already working on leveling his skills. Then that's okay. Either way you do it, max level CEs or super CEs are very strong. Typically good offensive CEs like Sumo, HND, Scope, and the upcoming Aerial Drive give you a max of 2000 extra attack. And some, like Black Grail or Victor, even give you 2400 extra attack. And I spent a minute earlier in this video going on about how just an extra 1000 attack is a huge improvement in damage output. And now imagine if you got a CE to max level and you foe a servant to max attack, you're then looking at up to a potential of 3400 extra attack for just that servant, which is an insane damage buff, which, mind you, can't be removed in a fight because they're just pure stats. A few tips about CE leveling, since I feel like they're appropriate here. If you max level 6 2-star CEs, you can take a level 15 max limit broken 5-star CE straight to level 100 with only a little bit of XP overflow. If you want to do this with 1-star CE bombs, that's fine, it's just going to take you 8 of them to get a level 15 SSR CE straight to 100. If you have your own preferred method of making CE bombs, then stick with what you're comfortable with, but the 6 2-star CE bomb strat is pretty comfy for me personally. Another tip is to save a good portion of your friend points and wait for double or triple success rate up events. Generally speaking, it takes a lot of friend points to get a single SSR CE to level 100. You're looking at anywhere between 2 million to 3 million friend points for each max level SSR CE, depending on how many super sucks and great sucks you get along the way. But with success rate up events, you can cut down that number of friend points you'll need considerably and level up your CEs faster. In fact, at the time of this recording, this week we've got a double success rate up going on with the 7 million downloads update, which is perfect because people who farm Neurofest should be rolling boxes this week, and because Lotto boxes have tons of friend points in them, 11,100 per box to be exact, you can roll that FP right away to take advantage of the success rate up. In the future, be on the lookout for more success rate ups so that you know when's a good time to roll your friend points again after you've saved some up. Of course, if you want to keep some of your friend points to roll for event CEs, that's fine, just make sure you're putting those trash CEs to good use while you roll for the event ones. And the final tip is to try to have as big of a main inventory as you can so that you have room to hold all the stuff you'll be getting from your FP rolls, so that you spend more time rolling FP and leveling up your CEs and foeing your servants, and not constantly switching back and forth from the FP gacha to whatever it is that you're trying to do. And even if you're like me and you're trying to hoard as many embers in your main inventory as possible, remember that now we have the quality of life update that lets us roll up to 100 items over our main inventory cap if you're rolling friend points, which stacks with the main inventory increase that we got with the 7 million downloads update. So now you should have no reason not to roll friend points, especially in the wake of a lottery event. As for which CEs you should be looking to level up, they should be 5-star CEs that you generally find yourself using a lot, which most of the time would be farming CEs anyway, so CEs like Sumo, Holy Night Dinner, First Sunrise, Partake, Victor, Black Grail, and Scope, so on and so forth. The Art of Death CE is actually a great choice, even though it's only a 4-star CE, because its effect is really powerful, and since it's only a 4-star, you'll have an easier time getting it max limit broken than a 5-star CE. So to wrap up this video, friend point rolls are very important in this game because they give players the ability to enhance their servants and CEs further than usual for free. Yes, acquiring a large amount of friend points to roll and actually rolling them and enhancing your servants and CEs is a long and tedious process, but that's why the game gives you lottery events where you can farm a ton of friend points just from the boxes, and success rate up events that speed up the rate at which you level up your servants and CEs. Perhaps the greatest aspect of friend points is the fact that they're valuable to any kind of player in FGO. They're obviously important to free-to-plays and casual players, or at least they would be if most of them didn't just fucking burn everything they got from them, but they're also important to whales like me because for the most part, we're not about to drop mad quartz from the gacha just for CE XP unless you're a fucking Chinese Leviathan, so we use the friend point gacha instead to level up our super CEs. It's one of the reasons why I farmed over 1,000 boxes during Neurofest for the past few weeks, because once I was done rolling all the boxes, I was sitting with over 12 million friend points to roll for CE bombs this week, to prepare myself for future 5-star CEs that I would like to get to max level. I hope this video was able to convince those who didn't really think of friend points as anything significant before into now seeing them as a valuable commodity in Fate Grand Order. If you're interested in making the most out of your FGO account and doing everything you can to improve it, which you probably are given the fact that you're on YouTube right now watching a video about a fucking mobile game you're playing, friend points is, in fact, one of the most important things that you should take advantage of. So the next time you burn friend point Cs and foes because you think they're trash and they don't seem to have any use for you, think about a level 100 CE or a max enhanced servant you could use in your team, but you just don't have because you never bothered working towards it. If you still don't really care because you're just a casual and or you just view FGO as more of a waifu game, then fair enough, but that's your loss, really. And besides, if a waifu game is what you're looking for, I can point you in the direction of some better games for that shit. But if you do care, it's never too late to start managing your friend points. The earlier you start, the sooner you'll be able to reap the benefits, and like most things in life, the more time, resources, and effort you spend on rolling and using your friend points wisely, the stronger your account will get. Simple as that. Thanks for watching, y'all, and until next time, deuces.